All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the weekly wrap up here on the Urban Conservative. Let's go.
Welcome to the Urban Conservative Podcast, where we do not believe that avocado toast can save the planet or the world will end, because cars use gasoline. You won't hear that Wi-Fi is a basic human right, or that billionaires are secretly supervillains. Here, we do not believe that electric cars run on hopes and dreams. You also won't hear that anyone who disagrees with us is a fascist, or that socialism will make everyone rich. You won't be gender affirmed or offered any opportunity to share your preferred pronouns. If this causes you any discomfort, please rest assured that we couldn't possibly care less. For everyone else, thank you, and please stand by.
My fellow Americans, it's time for the Urban Conservative Podcast. This is without a doubt the best podcast on the internet. It's about to go down here on the Urban Conservative.
3, 2, 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. Monday night, you locked into the Urban Conservative Podcast. Make sure to visit the website, tuconservative.com, to support what we do here, which is promote conservative policy ideas and candidates to our urban centers and to everybody, really, but with a concentration on our urban centers and folks whose freckles are as close together as ours, getting them off that Democratic plantation, that Democrat Party plantation. Of course, you can support the podcast, $TU Conservative, or you can visit the website, hit that sponsoring episode, sponsoring season. We greatly appreciate it. And on the outset, I gotta say our Facebook page has been blowing up over the last week, so all of those new folks, several thousand folks have just came into the platform. We appreciate that. Over 1.8 million views in the last, 28 days or something like that, bro? So it's been growing. It's about 3 point something million, but whatever. Trying to be modest, are you?
We appreciate that. And then, as you all know, I'm running for Suffolk County legislator here in Suffolk County on the East End. I am announcing tonight my first campaign kickoff event's going to be Saturday, May 3rd. I will have some more upcoming details about that. Other than that, man, I hope y'all had a good weekend. We're excited because as the platform grows...
Good week.
Weekend. Oh, week. I'm thinking it's Monday night. It's Monday night, but listen, it's the weekly wrap up, right? And even at that, we said it's Monday night. Look, and I don't even smoke, and that's how crazy my day been. Like I've been all over the place.
It's nutty, bro. It's super nutty. So listen, man. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, as the platform grows, we've always wanted to do this, which is have our own pundits, our own, what do you call that? Is that pundits is the right word? People that come on and give us information.
Yeah, pundit.
So, I'll let you do the intro, but I'm excited about this because we got some other big stuff coming up. But we're not alone today, right?
No, not at all, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in North Carolina, you may have heard of this brother before, especially if you're in the education and public policy space. We are honored to have joining us tonight to talk about the weekly wrap-up, our good friend from Interbank Strategies. Dennis English is in the building on the Urban Conservative. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and be with my brothers from another mother. I tell you,
yes, sir.
A long time coming.
Yes, sir. Well, we're looking forward to having you on a lot.
Yo, bro. I forgot one thing on the intro because it is the weekly wrap up. So we have a re-elected councilman here in the town of Southampton. Our good friend of the show, contributor to the show, Rick Martell, won the special election this past Tuesday. All of the Jamaica sound effects for that. Very big push from the Suffolk County GOP and the Suffolk County Conservative Party. Shouts out to Chairman Garcia and Chairman Torres. Big shout out to everybody in my town of Southampton. It's important to keep Republicans on our town board because, we like common sense policies for the people. So I forgot to mention that, but yeah. So Dennis, welcome to the show, brother. It's a pleasure to have you on. We look forward to your insight. And as we tell folks, we're not experts in everything, right? So it's always good to get people who have knowledge and other expertise in other areas to come in and help educate the folks and educate us and, and learn. So it's going to be exciting. I look forward to it.
All right, so guys, here's where I want to start at news this week, right? I didn't tell bro I was gonna go here, Dennis, but this came out today, and it was, when I say shocking and mind-blowing, 3 North Carolina metro areas landed in the top 100 cities in the U.S. for the highest STD infection rates in the country.
Oh, wow.
What?
Wow.
Yo, you're supposed to pregame that. What? Yo, what?
I wasn't expecting that.
Yo, listen, Greensboro, ranked number 30 in the country, followed by Charlotte and Raleigh as number 67. In Greensboro, 1,086 cases per 100,000 people. That's 206. You see it. Here's what terrifies me. Not that I'm worried about it, but 9,000 cases of chlamydia in Greensboro, 16,440 cases of chlamydia in Charlotte, and 11,000 of them joints running around in Raleigh. This is wild. Absolutely wild news this week coming out in the Charlotte Observer. I just had to start there because that came out this week. It wasn't on my radar until it came out. So I was like, what in God's green earth is that all about?
That's insane.
I'm going to stay out of that, bro.
Well, apparently a few people should have been staying out of that. If according to them statistics, it sounds like a lot of y'all need to be staying out of that because that ain't good at all. That is terrible news. This has been a rough week, but hey, look, penicillin sales are up, right? Whatever the medication is up to this. Hey, at least the market's up there, right?
So check this out. One other thing I'm gonna bring up, and Dennis, you may chime in on this one, right? So imagine getting approved to be a part of a job training program. Okay, it's a public job training program. So you apply, you get accepted to the job training program, you show up to said job training program, and because of your hat, they kick you out of the program. That is exactly what went down here in Chicago. The Climate Equitable Jobs Act, a program promoted throughout the state of Illinois as a pilot program to uplift the Black community and allow those in the program to become productive citizens, turned away one of the enrollees. This happened on March 20th after he came to class wearing a Trump cap. Mr. David Lowry Jr., a pastor in Chicago, was recruited and admitted to the program by the Chicago Urban League months ago and was anticipating gaining knowledge to pass on to other citizens throughout his ministry project. After arriving to the Southwest Organizing Project, located at 250-2558 West 63rd Street in Chicago, Ms. Keenan Carpenter of the 548 Foundation, the organization that partnered with the Chicago Urban League to recruit Pastor Lowry, informed him he was no longer eligible because of his Trump attire. He was accompanied by another participant who was also turned away and told they were no longer welcome. Now, this is to me a symptom of a bigger problem that we have going on. And this happened just, a day ago. This is a symptom of a bigger problem in that things are so polarized. You can't even show up wearing a hat with the current president on it. Like that's it. Not that he's not running anymore. He's the actual president.
Right.
So let me ask this question. Is it against any type of policy?
So that remains to be seen. According to this release that came out, this is by Wright and Associates Ltd. This is new. This just happened a day ago. So we're gonna do some more digging. But I wanted to let folks know this went down in Chicago. We're going to stay tuned and let y'all know more about that one, bro. So what else we got that went down this week?
Okay. Well, I mean, there's a couple of things that I saw that happened. And I love our audience for this because I love this. We put up a post about Loose Cannon, Big U, and Brick Baby going to jail.
And everybody was like, could you repeat that in English? Everybody was like, who? What are those random words you just thrown together? And I had to explain to somebody. I said, look, these are some of the biggest YouTubers that are influencing young minds on the internet. These are gang members who are influencing young minds. If you go look at the numbers that these guys are doing on YouTube, this is being consumed a lot by people ages 13 to 17. And these kids are wanting to be like these guys. And these guys have just went to prison for the reason I wanted to talk about this was because this is one of those scenarios where two things cannot be as true at the same time. You cannot be in an active gang, Crips, Bloods, or whatever, and a community activist. You can't do that, in my opinion, because by default, you're in a gang whose main thing is trafficking women, extortion, and robbing the community. So then on Thanksgiving, when you buy the turkeys, that doesn't get rid of everything you've been doing all year long. So check this out. The guy on the right, Big U, buys all the toys, buys all the turkeys, then sends people to rob the trucks. This is insanity.
Is this in LA?
This is Los Angeles, California, and it's terrible. Go ahead, bro. Let me cut you off. Go ahead.
Nah, this is I heard about this last night briefly. And I mean millions of dollars were provided in grant funding to this organization. And so I think it's, it's an oversight issue related to how we, fund nonprofits, right? That's just complete oversight. And so how do we, because what my concern is, right, as a consultant, is when there are legitimate, passionate people who want to do good in our communities and make real impact, this will put a hindrance on those individuals. And there's going to be, I guess, credibility issues as it relates to helping our inner city youth, right? And so we got to do better with vetting our nonprofits who are going after these grant funds. I mean, it's all about oversight. And so this is gonna hurt us. This is gonna hurt us. So
well, yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because that's why we brought you on, because me and Ali would have probably never thought of that, right? We would have never put that together. We'd have laughed and chuckled a bit about it. And the reason I laugh at it is when you dig into it a little deeper, they're on podcasts like, yeah, because he sent us to go do some work and we robbed a dude. And when we robbed it, I'm like, wait a minute, what era is this where y'all go on the internet and talk about the robbery? And then all they got to do is corroborate the video footage. And then y'all go in there with no mask on. I mean, if you're going to do something, if you're gonna do, not that sharp, right? So I'm glad you spoke to that, because one of the big things, I said this when Trump won, I was like, yeah, LA's gonna have a problem, because law enforcement has been invigorated. And these guys, this gang culture of going on there, getting on the microphone and talking about what you're gonna do to somebody and how you're gonna do it, and I'll make sure he ain't breathing no more. And I like all of that on camera, like how we live right now, they just spilling the beans for likes and views. So I'm glad you said that, but there does need to be a better process for vetting where this money's going, because millions of dollars went into his organization to help, quote unquote, help at-risk youth, that he's talking about, when the feds came, they came to all my properties. All your properties?
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. While our kids are struggling, man, and so I'm about the young people, and so yeah, we need to talk about that maybe at another time. I know we got to move forward. So
yeah, it's just a sad thing that happened. When I say sad, it's sad for the rest of us, because again, and I've always said this, that I understand. It's like I don't understand, but I understand. It has attracted so many young people, Dennis, that watch this content. It's all young dudes that's watching this and they want to emulate the behavior.
And unfortunately, they're going to be made examples of. Fortunately, they will be made examples of because they're facing RICO charges and everything else. And there's
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know
allegedly, allegedly
So,
a
but
murder
Rob, but
connected to it and all of that.
hold on. What this does, though, and I the reason I pulled up this Charlemagne picture is because you talked about off air how people aren't mad. People are mad that the federal government is getting rid of the illegal criminals, the illegal, violent Tren de Agua and MS-13. You're getting rid of them. But that also leads me to that question about like, and we are guilty of it too. Growing up, we idolize Scarface and all of the gang. Like that's a thing where we idolize the people who are doing the absolute worst in our communities. It's a I guess the older you get, the more you look at that and realize how senseless that is. But it's, I think, gone to the degree now. And you asked the question in this post. So how long before they attack Charlemagne the God? How long before he's cancel status because of what he's talking about?
Yeah, I say he's got about a week. If he don't backtrack on this, they're going to, he'll lose his show. He'll lose all of his endorsements. And he's correct. Me and him don't agree on a lot of things. This is one of the things where we happen to agree. And I don't know if you agree with this, Dennis, but it appears that one side of the political aisle is accepting of differences of opinion. Some of us on our side are willing to have a disagreement on a policy position and say, okay, well, we just don't agree with that. Let's go have a beer. Whereas the other side, you become demonized. You're a fascist. You're a Nazi. You don't love your own people. You hate Black people because, because we say things like this. So, I don't give him much time unless he backtracks on this, but he's absolutely correct. Why would we oppose a policy like that that's making a community unsafe?
So one of the things, Dennis, and I'm gonna throw this ball in your court, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you have so many people relying on our education system that's already strapped, right? You hear every year, and I'm sure in your world you hear it, education doesn't get funded enough, even though it's one of the biggest expenses in this, every state has is education. How much or little does having undocumented people in the schools actually hinder the schools from being able to perform better?
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Well, I say this. Just look at the amount of money that we spend in education every year. We have billions of dollars that go towards our exceptional children, right? Those children who need special, just educational attention because they have some type of disability, right? Some type of learning disability. We have economically disadvantaged children that really need just, again, that special tutoring opportunity where you're not getting that, at home, perhaps. For whatever reason. And so, when you add to the pot in terms of what we need to do educationally, it does put a lot of strain on the dollars. And so, unfortunately, the narrative is around charter schools and private schools taking those dollars, right? Where we need to be talking about how do we look at the pot of money that we do get, right? And begin to say, okay, we're going to move these dollars around effectively and efficiently to do what we need to do for the children. I work in the charter school space, and charter schools don't get building funds, right? So we don't have dollars that's coming to us for our building. And so we have to do more with less. And so going back to your question, I think it all comes down to there's only so many dollars to go around, right? And so when you open up the gates of folks coming into our country and allow them to come in, I think it just, again, it wears down not only just the educational system, but the healthcare system and all the other systems that's got to be ran, right? And so it's tough. It's tough. And I think, it's going to be a controversial issue that's going to go on for a long time, unfortunately. But here we are. And I'm glad we're here to provide information and insight to those who are just trying to figure out, why are people throwing a political football at our children, right? And so this is not fair to them. So this is why we're here.
Excellent. We're gonna come back. Go ahead, Ra.
I just wanted to say something that I saw firsthand from teachers here. When that happens, you also have to consider we have to hire more language teachers who don't, you got kids coming in that speak different languages, not just Spanish. You got some Haitian kids and Asian kids. And so there's a tax on the system that sometimes we don't account for when these things happen. I just had to throw that out there.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're checking out the Urban Conservative Podcast. It is a weekly wrap up. We're going to take a very quick 30-second commercial break. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about education. Trump whipping that executive order pen out again. We'll be right back here on the weekly wrap up. Don't go nowhere.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Knock Realty. Knock Realty provides exceptional personal service, superior customer care, while giving back 25% or more of the revenue we earn from the sale of your home to be reinvested into the local community. At Knock Realty, we believe that your care and our community come first and will always be our highest priority. Receive the most personal service when buying or selling your home at a very competitive price while making a positive impact in your community. Knock Realty. Open the door to giving back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back on the weekly wrap up here on the Urban Conservative. TUC Twins with our good friend Dennis English in the building. We are chopping it up about so much that has went on this week. And speaking of things that went on this week, I'm about to put something on the screen right now. Class dismissed. President Trump put pen to paper, delivering on a campaign message that will turn over education to families instead of bureaucracies. Now, Dennis, have you had a chance to actually look at that executive order that went out?
I'm looking it over right as we speak, but what I'm more focused on is really how do we translate this to North Carolina and other states, right? Because the details are going to be important. I've read a lot of executive orders, and let me tell you, man, it's all about how you execute. And so I'm looking forward to having a conversation about this one. This is going to be really interesting.
So check it out, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just listening, because we get a lot of folks that just listen, this is the executive order. The purpose was purpose and policy. The nation's bright future relies on empowered families, engaged communities, excellent educational opportunities. Unfortunately, the experiment of controlling American education through federal programs and dollars and the unaccountable bureaucracy those programs and dollars support has plainly failed our children, our teachers, and our families. To wit, a statement just came up in the comments. Shouts out to Tony Cunningham. He pointed out that we spend more per pupil than any other country on earth, and only about 30% of the kids are reading on grade level. The executive order goes on to say that taxpayers spent about $200 billion at the federal level, on top of more than $60 billion that we spend annually on federal school funding. The money is distributed by one of the newest cabinet agencies, the Department of Education, which has existed for less than 1/5 of our nation's history. The Congress created the Department of Education in '79 at the urging of Jimmy Carter, who received a first ever presidential endorsement from the country's largest teachers union. Goes on to say that closing the Department of Education would provide children and their families the opportunity to escape a system that's failing them. Today, American reading and math scores are near historical lows. Dennis, is that true?
About the scores? Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
This year's National Assessment of Educational Progress showed that 70% of eighth graders were below proficient in reading, 72% were below proficient in math. That's startling, bro.
That was a report that came out this past week.
Yeah.
Shed light on this. So yeah, you know, one thing we have to realize is that, you know, we're competing globally. And that's one thing I look at is the fact that, you know, United States of America is small, man. I mean, we got to think about other educational enterprises globally that are kicking our ass. And so that's what I'm thinking about. I'm looking at the when you read that, right? And you take a business guy, right? I think that's what we're dealing with, right? A business guy who's about performance, you know, and he's not a politician or a bureaucrat. I mean, so it's not about in business trying to keep throwing something at money or whatever at something that's not working, right? And when you elect a businessman or CEO, if you elected me, I'm coming in with that kind of attitude. What's not performing? We got to change this. We got to get rid of it. And that's the attitude of the Department of Education with the president, is that anytime you're looking at something that's losing, and I'm the coach and I'm the CEO and I'm running the operation, we got to make a change. And I think because we've been doing the same thing, like you said, since President Carter, it's hard to give up something, right? That we feel like it's just been so close to us for so long. And so I'm looking at what's going to happen, right? I think it's about what's going to happen now that the Department of Education is not going to have the wheels on the tire anymore to provide the oversight to each of our states, right? And so what that means to me as someone in the education space is now the question becomes, how do we begin to help our states identify the ways to manage these funds, right? And I believe if you get out of my way, I'm going to be able to effectively make it happen, right? And you know, one thing I learned as I looked at this executive order and I, you know, saw it coming down the pipe, I reached out to some leaders in education, and I was hearing that not only does the federal government provide these grants for exceptional children, which is those children who are really need some additional help because there might be some educational issues or some disabilities. Our state provides also the same grants. So not only do we have the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., but we have the Department of Public Instruction in North Carolina providing those grants to those school systems, right? So we have double layered funding. And so what my thoughts are as I wrap this up, as the districts across the country become empowered to move this money to the districts, that will eliminate the bureaucracy because they're already doing it at the state level from what I see. Now, I can't speak for New York and California, but I know, being a lobbyist here in North Carolina, understanding these, you know, understanding how education flows and the Department of Public Instruction, we have already the mechanism and the ways to distribute this capital for exceptional children, for SROs, for security, you know, on our campuses and schools. I mean, these grants are already being executed at the state level, right? And so when you put that money in the pockets of the states and let them move it, and operate those funds, now you're looking at more accountability, less bureaucracy, and I think the process will go more efficiently, right? So that's just what we need to start unpacking, whether or not this is what we're going to be seeing moving forward.
So Ali, I gotta throw this out there, and Dennis, correct me. These were when I thought about this executive order, I had made a note of it to write a news article this coming week, about how this is going to affect the county that I live in. And there's a couple of points that I came up with. So the restoration of state and local control. So to me, reading through it, it seemed that the order would return educational governance to the states, empowering them to tailor policies that reflect their unique needs and values. There's, as you said, the reduction of the federal bureaucracy. But one of the things that's in the executive order that stuck out to me was that the initiative really aligns with everyone's efforts to expand what we call parent choice. Some people call it school choice, but we call it, parent and student choice. But these initiatives align with that school choice programming, including vouchers for private schooling. I saw a carve out where some of this money that isn't making it to the charter and private schools will make it there, providing families with more options to select the educational environment best for their kids. And I think when you have parents that are really concerned, and just my thought, I mean, I'm obviously, all right, I might get in trouble for this. I might get in trouble for this. I might not be talking to you if you if you coming into your school meeting to, what's that called? Your child's meeting.
Parent teachers, right?
Yeah, you got the parent. If you're showing up to that meeting in pajamas and bonnets, I might not be talking to you right now. The rest of us, because you shouldn't. I'm just saying you should put on a decent outfit to come to school. That's just my personal opinion. It's a pet peeve. I don't mind running to the 7-Eleven in the bonnet and the pajamas, but how you represent your kid in school is important. But I'm say that to say, there has to be parents that are concerned usually are going to make a great decision as to what works for their kid. When given the proper information, I've learned that parents, like even me, the decision was what's going to work best for my child is to homeschool them. Not only because of the curriculum, not only because of what you're teaching, not only because the type of kids, not only because of the vax protocol, all of the decisions that were made. We come to that. So I just feel like that's a thing. And within the executive order, the language says that there should be a focus on core academic subjects. We don't need all this liberal arts nonsense. The kids can't read and they can't count. So I understand the social emotional learning. I get that we have to have some in tuneness with our emotions. But what about counting? What about math? What about balancing a checkbook? What about American history? What about
getting
history?
a job? What about
any of those things?
I mean, at the end of the day, we have to really start focusing on workforce development. And I'm an education reform kind of person. When the executive order come out, I'm about trying to make sure it works for everybody. This is not going to be a one size fit all, unfortunately, for every state, right? We're going to need education reformers, policy people to come in and really shape and mold what education looks like for your state, right? And so for me, it's about trying to make sure we have a workforce that meets the demand of these corporations. And corporations are looking for individual talent with technology backgrounds, and those who could write code, and those who could operate a machine on a computer, right? So you're not touching the machines no more. You're actually using the computer, and the machine moves automatically. Well, when you graduate from high school, you need to know how to do that, or you need to have a pathway to get you there. So my idea, what I'm very passionate about, is economic and workforce development. And I believe we need to understand that, yes, it's great to get a high school diploma, but somewhere around the 8th grade, you need to know exactly what your pathway is, so that when you get to the 12th grade and they're handing you a diploma, you're not going back to mama's house and try to figure out what do I need to do. So we need to take the power out of the hands of the children and the students and put the power into the hands of really our whole entire education system, because we need to let these students know that, look, life ain't going to be easy when you graduate from high school. If you don't understand how to do these particular demands that's required in the workforce. And so I think we need to be having another conversation around science, technology, and engineering.
Wait. So you mean to tell me that I'm not going to be able to make it in life with a degree in the gender equality of paintbrushes?
I have no idea what that is.
Yo. So real quick, Dennis, one of the things I wanted to chime in on this, because one side of this education thing that I heard this week was that with the dismantling of the Department of Education, the Pell Grants are not going to be touched. A lot of the student loan programs are going to stay intact. Those are going to be moved over and managed by the Small Business Administration. I want people to hear that. Okay. I also want people to know that the school lunch program, the federal school lunch program, is going to be intact, but now that's going to be handled by the Department of Health and Human Services.
Oh, so wait, Ali. So you mean to tell me the leftists running around talking about they cut this, they cut it, they ain't no more school lunch. They got you gotta read more, folks. You gotta read the executive orders yourself.
So there's that, and then the one other thing on this education front that I think is important, and both of y'all kind of alluded to this, is that every state is different. Every state has needs that are different. Right. Like in North Carolina, we have the biomedical stuff going on in the Triad and the Triangle. Northeast North Carolina, we have agriculture. There's technology, there's banking. That might not be what Wisconsin needs. Wisconsin might have a heavy emphasis on agricultural technology. California might be doing something different. So I think this really, by reading the executive order, and it's saying that it's basically the education secretary shall, to the maximum extent appropriate, take all necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the department and return authority over education to the states and local communities back the way it should have been. So there you have it. That's we got one more thing, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cover this week here on the Urban Conservative.
Hold on. So just my opinion, I don't think a degree in bag piping, I don't get that. A degree in I'm having a hard time even saying this out loud, that there's a degree in this. I can't even believe I have to say this out loud. A degree in adventure emotional displacement. I don't even know what those three words mean, but it's a degree. A degree in bakery science.
I'm going to hold on. I like all kind of confectionaries and sweets. I might give you a pass on bakery. I might give you a pass.
All right, I might. If you could make a really good crumpet, I might give you a pass. But it has to be something like a crumpet or a biscuit. You can't. All right, I'll leave it alone because.
Yeah, all right, we're going to take one last commercial break. We're going to come right back after that. We got a couple of more things to talk about, mainly how they burn in the cars, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back here on the weekly wrap up. Don't go nowhere.
The Urban Conservative is sponsored in part by Gyra Family Farms, providing your family with fresh meat, eggs, poultry, produce, and so much more. Visit GyraFamilyFarm.net to find out about their summer farm camp program, events and classes, and their exclusive Farm Share membership, which will give you 15% off all your purchases. Again, visit GyraFamilyFarm.net to find out more.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are back. It is weekly wrap up here on the Urban Conservative. We've got our good friend Dennis English in the building with us. What's good, bro?
I'm a little upset right now because my coffee's sitting here cold as heck.
Pre-arrest.
I was upset about what is this?
Wow. So they've been burning. They've been burning the Teslas. Everywhere you go, they burning the Teslas. Two arrested in Colorado Tesla attack face federal charges for the use of incendiary devices. Cooper Joe Frederick, 24, from Fort Collins, was arrested back on the 14th following an extensive investigation into multiple attacks on the Loveland Tesla dealership. The charges against him are as shocking as the crimes: the use of explosives or incendiary devices during a felony. And then Grace Nelson, Lucy Grace Nelson, a 42-year-old transgender woman man thing. Okay. That's they want you to think that's a woman. That's a dude. That's clearly a dude. But they're burning the Teslas. Here's the problem that I have with them burning the Teslas, right? And this has been going nutty all week, Dennis. First of all, most of the Teslas are driven by Democrats. It's like you're burning your people's cars, right? That's number one. Number two, the people that are burning the Teslas are often like the environmental tree hugging types. Do you know how hard it is to put out a lithium battery? Do you know that there's little kids missing limbs in the Congo and everywhere else from digging the lithium to mining and all of that for y'all to just burn it? It's here's the other thing. It's just like, it blows my mind. Yeah. You already bought the car. Everybody's like, I'm selling my Tesla. I'm like, but you already bought it. You already paid Elon for it. You're not hurting him.
It's let me say this. This is unfortunately the way people are expressing their frustration. And if that's the way you want to express your frustration, then that's unfortunate, because now you lose your freedom, you know, and I do pinstripe, but I'm not going to do the other type of stripes. I just can't. I'm not burning.
Good one.
So before he plays this, here's the thing, right? If you're watching this, because ladies and gentlemen, we get some pretty angry leftists that watch our show.
It's been wonderful.
It's been wonderful. But here's the thing, right? You gotta know that the Teslas have something called Century Mode. You gotta know this. Just play the clip, bro.
This was Sunday, March 16th.
Did you just key a Tesla the other day? What? You're on video. Yeah. This is the guy. You just keyed a Tesla. You got a video online. I just saw it. It's all over the face. You have the media. You keyed a Tesla? Yes, you did. You keyed a Tesla in a parking lot somewhere around here. What do you got to say about that? I didn't do that. Well, you're on video. I said I plainly saw you doing it. You pulled up right next to it, and then you keyed it. You want to bet?
And this was Friday, March 14th, 2 days earlier.
I'm done. He got the same jacket on.
What a loser. Elon said it was definitely.
Wow.
So here's the problem, right? These people are not bright enough to know that a Tesla has Century Mode. Every angle of that car records, bro.
Wow.
I just don't understand. I don't understand it. And then the really interesting thing to me is that it's like we talked about this on the platform before. Hold on, here you go. This is the guy right here. It's something that I don't even know how to explain this, bro. I don't even know how to explain this. Here you go. Here you go. Come on, bro.
Yo, those are
You
all
telling
of the
me we don't
kids.
have
Those are all of the kids when they were young who used to yell like. Those are those
20
kids.
years, bro. 20 years of your life, man.
Well, some people need to be there though. Like, yo, some of those folks deserve to be there, and they need to be there because they can't function in society with the rest of us.
True.
I remember being taught about this societal contract because it was a reoccurring thought. Like, though we live in a country where you have the most liberty,
You're at liberty to do everything. And like my neighborhood's fairly quiet. People, respect each other, and we don't, it ain't a free for all out here. We get on a public bus. Everybody's generally respectable. And we got this unspoken thing about being loud on your face. Some folks can adjust to the social contract that we have. Some folks are so entitled, and they have never, in my opinion, they were devoid of an ass whooping as a child. Because you spare that rod. There's a lot of rod sparing that happened in the last 25, 30 years. A lot of rod, like the rod is evil. I recall, I have flashbacks still of roddings that I don't do certain things. So I don't have a prison record. Because I'm like, I'm scared of being both rods. The bars, I'm scared of those. Want no parts of them. But my point is that there's something I think missing in these folks from a discipline standpoint, because if you find out you keyed a Tesla and then it's a fellow leftist progressive liberal, that was pointless. That just defeated your entire keying. Now you got a charge. Now you on camera, and the dude just lied like, it wasn't me. I didn't key no Tesla. You got on the same shirt and jacket, bruh.
Well, look, here's the only other thing I'm gonna say about this, guys. It's like you're making.
We stopped buying beer, Ali. We on the right. We didn't like what Budweiser did. We stopped buying the beer. We didn't buy the beer.
That's it. We didn't burn down the Budweiser factory. Like, come on. I'm gonna go to the corner store and destroy all the Bud Light. Like, come on, man. But ladies and gentlemen, it has been a crazy week this week. We're glad we made it to the weekend. We're glad you made it to the weekend. If you haven't done so already, the website, you see it on your screen, tuconservative.com. That's where you can go to support what we do, support our upcoming shows, support everything we've got going on. Because not only do we do this, I'll tell you the comment of the week that had me cracking up, bro. There was one of the angry leftists was like, y'all are the Temu Hodge twins. I thought that was hysterical. Hysterical.
Sir, that's funny. And if they knew us when y'all say funny stuff, we're not gonna deny that you said something funny. Like that was good. That was a good one.
Tell me who the Temu to me. I mean, bring me up to speed. I'm trying to.
Okay,
the Hodge twins are some conservative comedians. They're comedians, and they're like. So he said we're like the Temu version. When you go online, it's like that.
We're the cheap Chinese knockoff version of the Hodge twins. The only difference, and I'll say this before we go, is, and with respect to those two gentlemen and what they do, we're not comedians. When we get off of this podcast, we're actively engaged in the political space. So while they have their market and what they do, this is additional. This is additional for us. I'm running for office. My brothers ran for Congress. We both serve on committees and local GOPs, and we're not just talking heads. We live what we espouse on this podcast every single day of our life. So that's why we don't mind those comments. And we're funny guys too. So we don't mind being made fun of. Make fun of. Hey, we don't block you because you said that. That guy's still on there. He's still on the page.
Yeah. Still there. So look, ladies and gentlemen, you all have a positive, restful, and relaxing weekend. We will be with you live and direct on Monday night. We've got our good friend Omar Harris coming on to talk about what he's doing to save the young people in his nonprofit. So make sure you're with us each and every Monday night, 8 p.m. for the Urban Conservative Podcast, right here on Friday nights, 8 p.m. for the weekly wrap-up here in the Urban Conservative. For that guy over there, my twin brother, Raheem Architect Soto. That guy down there is Dennis English. This has been the weekly wrap-up on the Urban Conservative. Y'all, peace and love.